What is up, guys, and welcome to the Meeple Minded podcast, the podcast where we talk all things tabletop gaming. My name is Jason.
And my name is James.
How are you doing? My name is James.
Good.
Good. Have you had a good week, sir?
Yes.
Good. Don't sound very enthused, James.
I never sounded enthused.
Oh, this is true.
I've been at work all day.
See, we could try and do this on your day off, but then you're even less infused because you've done nothing all day.
Yes.
When is
my day off is not your day off, so you sound less enthused.
I don't know what this day off thing is, James. I have work Monday to Friday, and then I have child duties at the weekend. So those parents out there will know exactly how much time I actually get off of work.
Relax. The mythical free time.
Yes, indeed. My free time, James, is literally the game night that we do on a Wednesday. Because even the game night that we host for the club, the game club night, that's not really a rest night because we end up sort of working most of it.
Yes.
So yeah, my rest night is kind of is that Wednesday night game session, which ironically, James, we've had 2 of those since our last recording.
We have.
Because we recorded early last week, which means we then had another one, and then we had another one last night.
We did.
Which means we played quite a few games this week, James, which is good. The first one that we actually played was a new one to you.
Yes.
And it was my first time as playing a certain part of it because we played Beast.
We did.
Now, what were your first impressions of Beast, James? A hidden movement game, because it was your first experience of one of those as well.
It was indeed difficult.
Yes, you lost.
We did.
It was my first time playing as the Beast.
Yes.
Which was great fun.
Your natural environment.
Indeed, yes. But Beast, for those that don't know what it is a hidden movement game. You have one player playing as a beast of some sort, and then everyone else is trying to find the beast before he kills. Basically, it's 2 villagers, isn't it?
Yep.
And if you've got 3 turns, basically, to try and kill those villagers. If I don't kill those villagers, you guys win. Or if you find me and kill me, you guys win. So, you say it was hard, James.
Yes.
Did you really find it that hard?
Yes.
As in complicated or just...
Not the game. You're just slippery so-and-so.
But the mechanisms, James, what did you think of how it worked?
I thought it worked very well. I did enjoy the game.
Yeah. Are you going to give being the beast a go?
Oh, definitely.
Do you think you can match my performance, though, James? Because you guys didn't you made it to turn 3, but only because I actually let you.
Yes.
Because I could have ended it at the end of turn 2. But, I thought I'd give you sort of that hope that you might survive. And obviously on my first turn it was my second turn on turn 3. I was like, yeah, they're dead. But yeah, I enjoy that game quite a bit. It's Anthony's game.
Yes.
And this troubles me because I really like that game. And I get the feeling that it should be on this Kallax next to us, James. I kind of want it so that we can play it literally at any time. But yeah, I can't spend any more money.
You do realise that Anthony is currently banging his head against the desk saying, just ask to borrow it, dude.
I know, but it's not the same, is it? It's not the same as owning it.
But he lives there.
He does, but then if, say, for example, on a Monday night, before I go to the game club, I look at my shelf and I go, what do I want to play tonight? I want it there so that I can take it if I suddenly want it. Because that's a bit too short notice to try and arrange it, you know what I mean? But yeah, James, first impressions of Beast.
Good.
Want to play it again?
Yes.
Awesome stuff. What else did we play?
Can't remember.
James.
On that particular game night, I can't remember. What was the other game?
Well, we'll talk about 2 different occasions here because we played Earth.
We did.
We introduced Anthony to Earth, and we also played Earth again last night, but just the 2 of us, so a 2-player game.
Yes.
Experiences, James. Mate, I'd say probably let's talk about the 2-player one.
Yes.
Because that's most fresh. And I'm sure you want to talk about it, don't you?
I gave you an absolute thrashing.
You did. And do you want to know the worst thing?
What's that?
I played it on Board Game Arena today as well and got an absolute spanking again. So it would appear that I've dived straight back into the losing pit. I lost by 120 points today.
Oh. Okay, that's not quite. I mean, that's worse than
Yeah, you beat me, I think,
41
by
points.
40 odd points. But yeah, today was a good old rogering by a French player. I can't remember their username, but yeah, congratulations, you gave me the whipping that I deserved. But yeah, James, last night's game, those objectives, the fauna cards were really difficult.
They were. I agree.
You achieved all of them.
I managed to hit
none.
all of them.
You hit all of them. I achieved not a single one. I if I remember correctly, I didn't achieve a single one of the public endgame scoring.
And to be fair, I only got one of them once.
I managed to get my own scoring card.
Yep.
Which kind of saved me a little bit, but it only got me 24 points in the end. And I think I sunk too much time into trying to achieve that because I had to set my board out in a very certain way, and it wasn't actually that beneficial. However, I did end up with something like 50 odd cards in my composting pile.
Indeed, you did.
Which saved me somewhat.
Yes.
Definitely saved me somewhat. But yeah, you still...
Yeah. I mean, you got 50 odd cards in your compost pile, which might have saved you a bit, but then I immediately equaled that in growths. If I remember correctly, I think I got about 52 points out of the growths.
Yeah, I got a fair few in growth as well, which helped me sort of keep up with you to a degree. But yeah, that sort of
it was the 60 points that I got from the central board.
Yeah,
just from those 4 fauna cards. It's like, I mean, I think it was dirt pile cards with dirt piles that cost less than cost 3 or less.
Yep.
Cards with victory points that cost 3 or less.
Yeah.
I think you had to have 11 of those and 9 of the dirt pile ones.
Yeah.
6 blues, which was the first one I got. That was probably the easiest one for me to get because I had 2 blues on my starting board.
Yeah.
And the other one, which was the one that took me a while to do, which was the 2 sets of
5
cards that had to have a red.
Yeah, one of every colour. Green.
Yeah, red, blue, yellow,
an event card,
and a terrain card. So 2 sets of 5 consisting of those cards on separate cards. So
it didn't count if you had 2 of those on like a dual card, did it?
You could count one of the colours once.
There had to be 10 cards.
10 cards, effectively, of those combinations. That one took me ages. Wasn't so hard to get the tableau ones. It was the waiting for the right event card to come out.
Yeah. See, I used event cards for the first time today because we were getting towards the end of the game on Board Game Arena, and I was able to see that I was really far behind. I happened to have a terrain card, which immediately gave me 13 sprouts, which I desperately needed. So I was like, well, I'm going to have to play this one because I need the sprouts. But yeah, I no, it was the terrain card that did that, sorry. And then I had a couple of event cards, which also gave me exchange soil for sprouts and exchange this for that and blah, blah, blah. But again, paid no attention to the minus factor.
Yeah.
Because quite a few of them gave me minus points. That was kind of the polar opposite of what I needed. But yeah, it was good fun. I would highly recommend it for anyone who doesn't have Earth to play physically. It's great to play on Board Game Arena. For free, which is always good because we like free. It's probably one of my most played games on there at the moment, if I'm honest. But we also learnt another new game last night, James. Didn't we? We learnt Hijacked.
We did.
Finally. It's been on my shelf for, I don't know, a good couple of months now since it arrived from Kickstarter. What was your initial thoughts of Hijacked?
Very interesting game.
Yeah, a lot going. No, actually, I was about to say a lot going on, but there isn't a lot going on, is there?
No.
There's just a few different mechanisms, I guess.
Yeah, which I quite liked the collection of mechanisms it's offering.
Yeah. See, deep down, it is sort of a worker placement game, isn't it?
Yeah.
To a degree, because you roll your dice, and then you use those dice as your workers to perform other actions.
Yep.
So worker placement at heart, but then you had sort of...
It's worker placement with a bit of randomness because of the dice.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Because you don't know what you're going to be able to do. So the objective of that game, or the theme of that game, as you could probably guess from Hijacked, is, I guess, quite a controversial theme, actually. But
yeah,
you are negotiators trying to negotiate the release of hostages on a hijacked plane.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, let's touch on the theme straight away, James. Would you deem that as quite a controversial theme?
I would deem it as a controversial theme, sort of. I think it's why it's got the art style it does.
Yeah.
It's, you know, futuristic, cyberpunky. Basically, they've gone through every effort to go, this is not contemporary, it's just a theme.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, the artwork, James, it's the Miko, the Dizzy. Always love his games. And it really makes the game board pop, actually. It says, I would actually argue it's unlike anything else I've seen by the Miko. So interesting. Yeah. I love how he's actually he is a hostage card in the game, which is brilliant. But it's all those different mechanisms. So you've got a bit of push your luck.
Yes.
When you're trying to build trust with the hijackers. Mm-hmm. You've got a little bit of... It's a cooperative game, but there is a semi-cooperative aspect, isn't there?
Yes.
Because there is an overall winner, who's the best negotiator, but you have to work together because you have a police SWAT team that want to storm the plane and just kill everyone, really. And of course, if they do manage to storm the plane, game over, no one wins. Now, did we, James, in our game, have to actually try and push them back?
Yes.
Did we have to work together?
Yes.
It wouldn't have worked if we
I like the mechanic that you cannot push them back unless your score tracks are level.
Yeah. But in a 2-player game, that was challenging.
And it goes up to 4 players. Keeping 4 players around about the same score. Because I like it in the fact that because if they storm the plane, everybody loses, game over.
Yeah.
It stops one person running away with the game. They physically can't do it, otherwise you'll lose.
Yeah. Well, exactly. They could run away with the game, but then the police SWAT team will storm the plane, and then we'll all lose. Yeah, there's no winner. So that whole thing of everyone's got to be about the same is really, really tough.
Yeah,
because I started to run away with it, and then realised that, oh, hang on a minute,
you're going to lose.
Yeah, I've got to sit here and go, oh, James, hurry up and catch up.
Yeah.
Because the other thing is it's actually really difficult not to score points.
Yes.
Because almost everything in that game gives you a point for doing it. And if you go start saving the passengers too soon, they're 3 points a time. It's like, well, oh, hang on a minute, I need 3 of them and a pilot to win, to trigger the end of the game.
Yeah, it's that point. You trigger the end of the game when you rescue three passengers and a pilot.
Yeah.
Personally. So it is that point of everyone you have to pick your moment as to when you charge ahead.
Yeah. And I will say the end of the game, James, was tight.
Yeah.
Because I think we both sort of tweaked. It's like, right,
the game's about to end.
The game is about to end. I now need to maximize the amount of points I can in this round, the next round, and maybe the round after.
Yeah.
To try and, be overall winner. But very, very interesting game. First impressions are, I'm very much looking forward to playing it again.
Yep.
I'm interested to see how this game scales, because I'm already a bit concerned, James, because the police track in a 2-player game,
I think they start about 50.
They started on 15.
It's basically a track, isn't it? That, So they're
on 15 on the track.
Yeah, and
there's 3 players. They're on 10,
and 4 players. They're on 8. So the more players there are, the closer to the plane they are.
Which means you have to, in a 4-player game, you really have to start pushing them back early.
Yeah.
Whereas in that 2-player game, we sort of left them for, I think they got to number 8 before we sort of went, actually, maybe we should now start pushing them back.
Yeah.
And it was tight. They got very, very close. I think we ended the game and they were in...
Space 2.
Space 2, I think it was. So, First impressions, James, good, bad?
Good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Good. Looking forward to playing it again. I have personally been playing a few games on BGA, but one I do want to mention as one that's just gone on to BGA is actually Zuli. There's now a digital adaptation of one of the card drafting games that we do like here, and that is Zuli. It's now in beta on on Board Game Arena, so it's free to play. You can go on there and you can play it. It's definitely worth it. It's very well coded. I'm looking forward to seeing a few people on there and probably getting my arse handed to me again. But I think that's all the games we'll talk about that we've played this week, James. But we are going to talk about a game that we played last year. And I think we're going to talk about something else about this game. Because this time last year, James, we talked about Living Forest.
Oh, Living Forest.
Living Forest. Now, we came close to playing this on Monday.
Yes.
Because I had it with me. And I had the new expansion with me, which we still haven't played. So before we talk about the fact that we haven't played the damn expansion yet, what are your memories of Living Forest, James?
Very good. We have actually played it semi-recently.
We played it at Games Expo.
Yes.
I think we've played it a few times since.
I think, we've played it at least once in the club at the club since we came back from Expo, but obviously didn't put the expansion in. Yeah,
because I think we were playing it as like a little refresher before we played the expansion, and then it got busy.
Yeah.
And we then didn't get the chance to play it with the expansion. But I mean, I'm still really loving the game. I think it's very, very cool, very, very simple. It's still a very reasonably priced game.
Yep.
The expansion, I cannot wait to play, James. I love the fact that you get another tray of trees. You've got a use for those lotus flowers now.
Yep.
And you sort of get that extra sort of few cards to go in the deck. More powerful cards. I just think it's going to be really, really cool. I think it'll add a new thing to that game. I also think it's going to hit the table in the next week. I think that's going to be a Monday night game this week. And as an added bonus, where we're not being paid for this at all, there's finally a box insert that's been made for this game. It's been made by Poland Games / eRaptor. They've done a really nice MDF thing. They've done two versions of it. You've got the standard MDF version, and then they've got a really, really nice that I definitely need to avoid, but probably can't, UV printed MDF pick. So you've got official artwork all over the MDF. It's all colourful, looks lovely. It's going to look amazing.
You're going to buy it.
I'm trying not to.
You're going to buy it.
But it's only about 15 quid more than the normal MDF version. So I kind of feel like I should.
Spoiler, he's going to buy it.
Yeah. That I am. At the end of the day, logic here, James. I use my MDF, or I use my inserts on the table to keep things nice and tidy. With Living Forest, it is a stunningly beautiful game. Sticking plain MDF on that table is a disservice.
It is. Do you love the way, dear listeners, he's trying to convince me just about how he's going to spend his own money, as if I'm going to stop him?
Well, yeah, this is very true. There are some listeners out there, though, mainly my partner, that may disagree. However, I've got an ace up my sleeve here, James.
Mm-hmm.
Living Forest is her game, so I'm buying her an insert for it.
It's a gift.
It's a gift. Ha ha! I love it when there's a loophole.
Till she repossesses the game.
But this is the good thing. All the games are on my shelf. I think that's a fair compromise. It's your game, and I lend you my shelf for free.
Yeah.
And then I play it whenever I want to.
You're missing a trick there. You need to charge rent.
I should.
It's the only reason I haven't put Nemesis up there.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, it'll get there eventually. I know it will. Probably when the next Nemesis comes out and you realise that you can't have two big boxes at your house. Especially as you blatantly know that when this new Nemesis comes on to crowdfunding later this year, you're going to go all in on this one. You will. Yeah. You slate me here, James.
Yeah,
you're going to go all in on it.
I'm gonna take a leap out of it. I'm going to try not to.
Yeah, but it's going to fail. And I don't care, because I really want to play that game. Sounds really cool. But yes, James, just quickly, Living Forest, thumbs up, thumbs down?
Oh, definitely thumbs up.
Still a thumbs up. Excellent stuff. Are you ready for the main event of the evening, James?
Yes.
We are going to be talking about First Rat.
Oh, First Rat.
First Rat indeed. Right, here we go. Okie dokie, guys. So, First Rat. I have been looking forward to doing this one for a little while. First Rat is a competitive all-v-all set collection and somewhat racing game released by Pegasus Spiele in 2022. The game is designed to be played by 2 to 5 players aged 10 and up, with an estimated playtime of between 30 and 90 minutes. And at the time of the recording, you can pick up this game for around the £25 to £30 mark. In First Rat, players adopt the role of a budding ratronaut as they race to gather enough cheese, scavenge enough junk, and even steal epic technologies such as energy drinks to build a rocket and be the first rats to conquer space. And more importantly, to land on the moon that we all know is made of cheese. That is the aim of the game. But what comes in the box if you buy this game, James?
Okay, Jason, in the box, you get one double-sided game board for a standard layout or a variable layout. You get components for 5 rat teams in 5 colours, consisting of rats, light string markers, rat burrow markers, and score markers. You get 60 cheese markers, 12 mouldy cheese markers.
Everyone's going to have mouldy cheese.
Yep. 36 item markers, 95 building material markers, the components for the variable layout, which are 26 junkyard path tiles and 8 score tracks, 4 super rats, 16 awards, 5 player aids, 1 start rat marker, 1 score pad, and 22 cards for the solo game.
Fantastic. So, straight off the bat, James, £25 to £30. That sounded like quite a bit.
There's quite a bit
in there, isn't there? Which is good. We like to see that, but the question is, are the components up to par, really? Because usually when we see lots of components in a cheaper game, there's usually some kind of sacrifice somewhere. Quality can often be the one. But before we talk about that, I will touch on the rulebook just very, very quickly, because I think I would go to say that this is another example of the fact that Pegasus Spiele are one of the best board game publishers in the world. Yeah, one of the biggest and possibly one of the best, because the game is incredibly well explained. It's very well illustrated within the rulebook itself. The rulebook's not exceptionally long, but everything is detailed in how things are done. And it's very, very functional. I can't fault it in any way. So, yeah, I think rulebook gets a thumbs up from me, which leaves us nicely onto components, James.
Yes, components.
So, your initial thoughts on the components in this game. I've put a selection of them out.
Yep.
But not all of them, because obviously most of it is punch board in this, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, what do you think, James?
So, the punch board, like I said, is punch board.
Yep.
Got quite cool graphics on it.
Yep.
The printed graphics. The wooden meeples are very nice.
Indeed.
All the rat tokens and the wooden cubes. Pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've not found any sort of misformations when it comes to the meeples or anything like that. The artwork of this game is pretty cool. I know a few people that have sort of said they're not a fan of the art styling on it. But I'll be honest, the thing is, I look at this and go, it's a little bit cartoony. However, can you imagine if they did this game, James, in like realistic artwork?
Yeah.
Well, I think it'd be a bit too dark and dingy.
Not just that, but it's rats building a space rocket. Of course, it's cartoony.
Well, yeah, exactly. And when we say they're building space rockets, James, they're not actually NASA ones here, are they?
It's a bottle rocket.
It's a bottle rocket, yeah, because that's what your tokens are, aren't they? You've got Fizzy Pop, tins of peas, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
A calculator.
Yeah, a calculator for the onboard computer, some baking soda. Yeah, it's a rats building rockets in a junkyard. Yeah. It's going to be cartoony.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I will say this is something that I am actually upgrading about my game. They haven't arrived yet, but this is something I think Pegasus Spiele missed a trick on with this game. The meeples are really nice. However, I know some other Pegasus Spiele games, like I think Raccoon Robbers springs to mind. I want to say that one does it. But they provided stickers for the meeples on there, which added that cartoon imagery to the meeples.
Yep.
That's exactly what I'm upgrading about First Rat, first and foremost, because I think having that visual representation of that cartoon on the meeple will add so much more to the visuals of this game.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, your basic board here, James, you've got, I guess, oval spaces that you would put your meeples on. And they are coloured and they have a visual representation of what benefits you'll get from landing on that space.
I do also like the double-sided board for the variable setup.
Yep.
Adds a lot of replayability.
Yes, yeah, because one side it's all printed.
Yep.
And the other side has just sections.
All the icons that are printed on the regular side come in punchboard tokens so that you could completely customize all the score tracks, all the positions you would land on.
Yep.
So almost infinite replayability because no game is going to be the same.
Okay. Interesting.
I will say on quality, the board, I am noticing on yours some cracking around the folds.
Yeah, it's slightly starting to peel up a bit.
Yeah, standard, one layer folding game board, which not sure that's going to stand the test of time.
Yeah, which is a bit of a shame, I guess. I can't really say I've noticed it because it is right in the corners.
Yeah, it's the start of it.
Yeah, you're sort of got your finger pointing at it, and I can now see it, and I'm over the other side of the table.
Probably because you've got your white light shining right on it that I can see it.
Yes.
But the point is, it's starting.
It's there, yeah. Which means after time, it's going to go. And you got to think, I've only had this game since Expo.
Yeah. So
that's not a great sign.
Yes, but it's the central fold, isn't it?
Yeah. So we'll keep an eye on that, I think.
I would say that's a common problem with what I would refer to as standard board games.
Folding boards.
Folding boards. It's quite substantial. It doesn't look like it's going to succumb to warping or anything like that. No. It's just that fold around the middle where it's only single. It's just the only real negative that I can see with the components wise.
Okay, mate, that's good. So I'm glad you noticed that. Well done for noticing that. I guess if I had to pick a negative, it's not going to be a surprise to say the game, much like every other Pegasus Spiele game, does not come with a box insert. And with that amount of components, you bet your sweet ass that there's going to be a lot of plastic baggies in that box. And it's a fairly sizable box, considering it doesn't have an insert. It leaves a lot of space for things to move around. It was one of the first things I did as soon as I ordered this, or as soon as I got it. I was online, I was ordering
a box
insert. Which, again, not paid for it. Shout out to In My Box. It's a really good box insert. Components, James. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, I'm good with the components there. I think it's highlighted everything.
Excelente. Let's move on to the gameplay. Right. So, how the game... I want to try and cover how the game is played roughly, because it will explain how certain things that I like about the game. So, at the start of the game, you start with 2 rats on the central track. And then just off from the central track, you have like another track, let's say like a racing track, where you have 2 smaller rats. The main track is where most of the game happens. Because you're moving your rats up, you're claiming stuff from the junk pile, which is your bits that you then use to build the rocket parts. You also, the higher up the track you get, the more rewards you get for landing on that. However, if you go too far, you then can't turn around to go back. And that leads me to my first thing that I really like about this game, James, and it's the mechanism where going back to the start. Because once you start off on the track, you can't just turn around. You have to keep going. The way that you reset your rat to the very bottom is by landing on a space that has a, air quotes, store.
Yes.
Where you have the option to spend your hard-earned cheese, which is your currency for the game, on buying upgrades, and they're usually very powerful upgrades, or you can do the real rat thing and steal it. If you steal it, obviously you get the upgrade you want for free, but then you are completely reset back down to the very start of the track. How do you like that, James?
I do like that.
Have you ever paid for anything in this game?
No.
I think I've seen one person do it. I've seen one person pay for stuff. It's no need. Is there really? Because there's 3 different stores on the board, and there's one a third, one that's 2/3 of the way. Actually, no, it's probably a 1/4 and 3/4 of the way up the board. The one that's 1/4 of the way up is the one that I would say most people gun for straight away, because the upgrades you get from that one are going to be the backpacks that give you bonuses to the other ovals that you land on. So, for example, I've stolen a backpack that gives me +2 cheese. So if I land on a cheese square that's giving me 1 cheese, with my backpack, I now get 3 cheese. If I land on 2, I get 4 cheese, so on and so forth. But that's not all, James, because the other thing you can do in this game is you can move one rat between 1 and 5 spaces, or you can move multiple rats between 1 and 3 spaces, but they all have to land on the same colour at the end.
Yes.
But then you get all the bonuses from all of them. If you've got backpacks, that adds to it. And then finally, James, there's another track on this game that runs perfectly parallel to the main track.
Yep.
Which is the light bulb track. Which, if the light bulb is ahead of the oval that you've landed on, that gives you a +1 as well. So there's so much going on this main board. I've not even touched on that little racetrack yet.
No.
So, James, is that too much? How do you feel about it?
I mean, just to give it some perspective, there are 8 score tracks.
8 score tracks on this. It's crazy. 8 different ways to score points in this game. Crazy stuff.
Yes.
So, James, how do you like the game? I've said a little bit of mine. I'll give you your chance now. Let's go for it.
I love this game.
What do you like about it?
There's so much going on
Mm-hmm.
that I felt a little bit overwhelmed when we first started playing it.
Yep.
But surprisingly, considering the amount of stuff going, it didn't take long for me to go, oh, yeah, I know what's going on here.
Yeah. So, do you think there's a path to victory, or a certain path to victory? Because there's 8 score tracks, but I would argue if you go for just one of them, you don't stand a chance. You'll not even come close.
No, you need to be on all of them.
You think all of them. See, I would disagree with that. Mainly because you've probably noticed now, in most of the games we played, I don't really build parts of the rocket. My ratronauts are quite happy flying to the moon in a simulator. They don't actually need to go up into space. So they're going to keep their little paws on the ground. But what they're going to do, James, is they're going to take all the cheese and just enjoy a nice big feast. Because one of the score tracks here, James, is you can cash in 10 cheese for some points.
Yep.
If you're the first to do it, you get 7 points. Second to do it is 6, 6, 6, 5, and the 5 is infinite.
Yep.
So if I'm just spamming cheese, I'm slowly totting up my points by 5. Whereas building the rocket parts, there's not really. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's very hard to do it.
Interesting. Have you ever played this with the variable sides?
Yes.
Has it ever messed up your plan of cheese?
Not really, because the other thing with the variable side, it is good, but it's still done in sections.
Yep.
So the first section is like, tiles with A on the back, then B, then C. So you don't get a really big 4 cheese circle at the start. It's still going to be in the right. What is different is it just changes the order.
No, I remember the score tracks. Has it ever dumped a score track on the cheese one that's actually not that good?
I can't really say I've seen a not that good score track. Everything tends to be about the same. It's like 1 or 2 points different, I would say. But
well, like for example, has it ever dumped that score track down there? That's probably the worst one. 5, 4, 4, 4, 3, 2.
Yes, it has. Yeah, and it does definitely make it harder. Yeah, I would say.
The second question I would have, Jason, is how did that strategy go when we played? It didn't work out for you, did it?
No, because someone clocked very quickly, or I'd stupidly told them what I usually do. And you sod it. Let's just say it. You stopped that from happening. Because one of the bonuses that you can get on the mini track down the bottom, because that's how you get more bonuses, is the ability to not pay cheese tax, shall we say, if you land on the square that someone is already on.
Yes.
Which is the next thing to talk about, isn't it? Because let's say I've gone first and I've moved my one rat all the way to the first cheese space, which is exactly what James wanted to do. He can still do it, but for the privilege, he has to pay me a cheese first.
Yes.
And if he can't pay me a cheese, he has to claim some mouldy cheese, which is -3. It's either -2 or -3 points at the end of the game.
Yep.
And you can't get rid of it. Interesting.
Yes.
Unless, of course, you get that one upgrade.
Yep, which I went straight for. It's like, I am not paying tax to no one.
Yeah. So just a little word of a hint here, guys. It's like, don't Don't give away your secrets before playing the game with someone. Maybe afterwards.
Yeah, you didn't have to give away your secrets. What does that upgrade do? It means you don't have to pay the cheese tax when you land on the same square as someone. Right, I'm having it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's basically how I reacted when I first played this game. So I can't really fault you for doing it, James. Although, that being said, we're making it sound like I did really badly in that game.
Oh, no, it was a very close game.
It was a very, very close game, which is interesting because there is a lot of scoring going on, but everyone was within 20 to 30 points of each other.
Yep.
I would argue, and everyone had a different path. Someone just sent all of their rats all the way up the track and sent them all into space. They didn't actually build a rocket. So what they did is they trained their ratronauts so well that James, who did build a rocket and didn't have any rats to spend into space, he basically lent them his. So they worked together in a way.
Well, it does say that in the blurb that you are that's technically what you're doing, but
yeah,
there's no cooperation going on.
No, it's not a co-op game. There's not even a semi-cooperative aspect here.
No,
maybe in canon, we're all rats trying to get into space. No, we're not.
No.
This is
the space race, and I am not sharing my rocket with no one.
Exactly, and I genuinely think that if the Americans had built their rocket out of tins of peas, a calculator, baking soda, and soda pop, that maybe NASA would still be a thing.
I mean, technically, they did build it out of some very highly advanced versions of those things, when you really want to boil it down to its simplest.
Yeah.
The big thing at the bottom that goes boom propels you upwards, and basically powered by a calculator.
This is true. Well, this is what they keep saying, isn't it? Like we've all got the first shuttle's computer in our pocket now. It's crazy. But yes, back to the game. The main board has got a lot going on, James. But down the bottom of the board, James.
Yes.
There's obviously 3 sections.
There are 3.
And a rather nice little racetrack around the side. So one section, you have comic strips in there, which give you your bonuses. This is one of the ones we were talking about earlier, where you don't have to pay cheese. Some of them will allow you to skip parts of the board. For example, there are tunnels, which usually you have to pay some baking soda or a calculator or something along those lines in order to use them. That one allows you to ignore that. There's the really dirty one, which I love, James, which is when moving multiple rats, you can land on green and orange squares, respectively, and they would class as the same. That really helps in this game because handily, not everything is 1 or 3 spaces apart.
Yep.
Which means you can't always move 2, 3, 4 at a time. The middle section of that, James, is where you get more ratronauts.
Yes.
Yes. So you start the game with 2, and you can gain up to 2 more. So having 4 rats collecting junk to build your rocket, that will really help. And then the very final one is one of those score tracks where you just gain points. You are literally just putting points cubes down. But that is an interesting one as well. Because in this game, James, you start, I think it is, with 10 cubes. However, when one player puts their 8th scoring cube down, it triggers the end of the game. There are a few things that are done at the end of the game which you don't really know. But for the most part, James, how do you like being able to see, one, roughly what people have got, but more importantly, have a rough idea of when the game is due to end?
I like being able to see when the game is going to end.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Not so sure if I'm a fan of the scores being open like that. Sometimes I quite like the mystery of hidden scoring, basically. So it's like, it makes that whole thing of, do I want to end the game, a lot more difficult.
Yeah. Would you say that knowing, though, enables you to sort of maybe try and prolong it a little bit more?
I mean, it helps, whether you're winning or losing. I'm not sure I'm a fan of that, and games that have the open scoring where everyone can see it, because like you said, it's like, I'm not particularly good at this, I know you are, but a quick scan of the board and you basically know who's going to win the game.
Yeah, but would you say what you're saying, I'm trying to gauge why it is you're not a huge fan. Is it because if you are looking and you're seeing that you're losing, does that maybe demotivate you a bit?
Not so much demotivate. I think games like that, I think, open up to things like king making if you are in the losing position.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
I think it makes the game more interesting when it's like when you only can really see what you've got. So you might be thinking to yourself, I'm doing really well in this game. This is probably the best. Maybe this might be the best score I've ever got in this game. I have no idea what anyone else has got.
Yeah.
This game could go...
It sort of adds to the drama.
Yeah, sort of thing.
Okay, fair enough.
I think I prefer games where the scoring is more hidden. Maybe having a little bit on display.
Yeah.
But there needs to be quite a bit of hidden scoring.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. So it's like, or you might have an idea based on what's out, but how's it going to go once all the hidden stuff comes in?
Yeah. I mean, there is a little bit of hidden stuff in this, like the bottle caps, the end game scoring for that. But at the same token, they're pretty easy to read. Like one of them, for example, is if you've got no... one of them is if you've built, say, the boosters of the rocket, you gain an extra 5 points for every time you've built that, because you can build these parts more than once.
Yeah.
So if you've built 4 boosters for your rocket and you have that bottle cap, it's an extra 20 points, which is good. That's a very, very decent, respectable amount of points.
Yeah. I mean, we keep coming back to it because it's one of our favourite games at the moment, but I think the best example of what I'm saying about with the scoring is Earth.
Yeah.
There's the central board where you put in your token down, so you can see how many points people are getting from that. But it's quite difficult to see the personal objectives on the person's island card. So it's sort of, I've got an idea of how well you're doing from the central board, but I can't really see your personal objective and how many points it's netting you if you complete it. So there's a degree of, I think I'm doing really well. I think I've got an idea of how well you're doing, but I know there's quite a few hidden points that I can't see.
Yeah, yeah. I can understand that. I can definitely understand, because I think I like a bit more mystery about it, because I alluded to it when I was asking you if it's how you feel. I am actually one of those that if I can see that I'm losing and losing badly, I am demotivated by the game. And I try not to be. It's a personal flaw. I'm fully aware of that. But it does demotivate me somewhat. And that's where I find I start going down the route of looking around, what's going on, not paying attention to what's going on the board, probably making it worse for myself.
Yeah.
But also making it worse for other people. Because
you don't have that aspect in board games that you do in other things, like wargaming, for example, where you might decide to call it at that point. You know, in a war game, if you can see by the second or third turn that it's gone horrifically badly for you and you can't dig yourself out of this hole, most people concede.
Yeah.
You know, you can't really do that in a board game. It's like you feel motivated to play to the end, but knowing that there is no way to recover and player 3's run away with the game, you just sort of like, just going through the motions to finish the game now.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas when some of the scoring is hidden,
you don't know.
You don't know.
You never know till you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can understand that, definitely. Okay, cool. Well, so I'm assuming you view that as a little bit of a negative for the game.
I wouldn't say negative. I think that's a personal preference.
Okay.
I don't think it's detrimental to the game. It's just something that I prefer the other way, hidden scoring, effectively.
Oh. So is there anything in the game that is standoutish to you that you like, or something that you don't think you'd seen before?
I wouldn't say there's stuff that I haven't seen before. Most of this is fairly standard mechanics.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Anything that you do like, though? I particularly like.
I like the fact that there's a lot, that it's a busy board.
Yeah. I would agree with that, because it's something that I would like to mention. It is quite a light theme game. It's not a heavy game. Let's put it that way. It's not a heavy Euro or whatever. But there's enough going on to keep the heavier gamer mind going and just constantly working, trying to figure out the best possibilities. But the game is exceptionally good in my eyes, because if you're not one of those gamers, you can bumble through this game and still be competitive or even win. I've seen that. I've seen people bumbling through the game. James, I think you've done it.
Yep.
You've just bumbled through the game, not having a clue what was going on, and you've completely decimated someone who was literally sitting there mathing everything out, point by point by point. And I'm not talking about me.
I'm not going to lie, I do love it when that happens.
You know,
I've been on the receiving end of that, and it's still funny when it happens.
Yeah. But
when you sit there and go, I've planned every single move the entire game, and someone else goes, oh, I won. I didn't really know what I was doing.
Yeah. So I would argue on those grounds it's a very fair game. There are some mistakes that you could make in this game, no doubt. I'm sure of it. But I've not personally found them. Even on my worst day where I'm half asleep, I find this game very easy to play. I like it. I do like it. I think negative views for me, though, and it actually contradicts what you said at the start. I don't think there's much replayability to this game.
Interesting.
Now, I know that there is the variable board on the back, but I don't think it brings enough to the table to really qualify in my eyes as replayability. You know, even on this side, there's a little bit of replayability in the sense of you shuffle up the bonuses and pick X amount of them to put them down. But without counting them exactly, you're only ever taking maybe 2 of them out. So there's always going to be crossover. And it's not that doesn't determine replayability to me. So the replayability does solely come, in my eyes, from the variable side of this board. And I find it far easier to set up the normal side because that's actually, that's the main reason I don't do the variable side is because the setup for this it's not difficult, but it can be fiddly.
It's fiddly.
Shuffle this, put this out. Shuffle this, put this out. Shuffle this, put this out.
The detriment I see to the variable side, because I haven't played the variable side, is the markers that you're using are punchboard cutout on a flat board, and you're moving meeples over the top of them, so they're going to end up getting knocked and skitter all over the place and knock because it's not dual layer board for them to slot into.
Yeah,
that would drive me nuts.
Yeah. It is tough because I will just say this. I'm saying I don't think there's much replayability to this game. I'm not saying that super negative because the game is 25 to 30 quid. I think there's enough replay value, replayability and quality in this game that it's worth that money. I think you'll get enough out of it for that money. Do I think you should play it if it's on the table? Too damn right I do. I think it's a really fun game. Do I think you should buy it at that price? Yes. Do I think it's worth 35 to 40 pounds? No. No, it's not. You know, the components are pretty good. They're not poor, but they're not exceptional. The game isn't exceptional. It's fun, which is what a game should be. Is it the next big thing? No, not in my eyes. James, what about you?
Yeah, it's a decent game. I'd definitely say it's worth the 25 to 30. Totally agree with you. It's like no more than 30.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got enough in it. And yeah, I think I'd just echo what you say. It's like, it's a good, solid game, but it's not the next big thing.
No. Is it a game that you'd want to play again? Just out of curiosity?
I would play it again, yes. It's not one, I've got to be honest, after playing it, it's not one that I feel I'm itching to play.
No, I think this is, I mean, to sell it, I guess, we played this at the club. We introduced someone new to it, and that same night they went ahead and bought their own copy. They really enjoyed it. They've introduced it to multiple other people, and they have also purchased more. So I do think there is a market for this. Do you think that well, here's the question, because a lot of our listeners are going to be gamer gamers. Is this a game for gamer gamers, or is this a game for gamer gamers playing with non-gamer gamers?
The second one.
Yeah? Okay. Now, just very quickly, because I know we are pushing ourselves on time a little bit here, but I want to very quickly ask your opinion. 10 plus on this game. What are your opinions on that? Because I'm mixed, if I'm honest.
I think you could potentially go down to 8 plus if you were playing with a yeah, I think you could drop it down to 8 if that 8-year-old was more inclined to playing games and had a bit of experience.
Yeah.
Playing some slightly meatier games. There is a lot going on. So I'd worry about attention span.
Yeah.
Let's put things like that with a game like this. So, broadly, I would agree with the 10, but if it was the right 8-year-old, I think you could drop it to 8+.
See, I am going to disagree with it slightly. I agree with everything you're saying about maybe the attention span and the type of young gamer that we're talking about. Like, if you're talking about a gamer you're trying to get into games, there's no way. I wouldn't even go 10. I'd say you're probably looking more towards 12, 13, maybe even 14 for someone who's inexperienced of playing games, just purely because, like you said, 8 score tracks, it's a lot to keep a hold of. I mean, my partner really struggled with this the first time we played it. I would say 10 plus if you are talking about, as you said, a young gamer who's played games. But I also wouldn't say a gamer that you've introduced to one game, say Cora Quest, which is a very, very simple game, which is also aged rating just a little bit less than this.
Yeah.
I don't think you could go from that to this. I just think it's too much of a jump.
Maybe. I don't know, because I'm looking at it and going, well, at its heart, it's an advanced version of Snakes and Ladders. If you really want to boil it down to its base roots.
Yeah, I mean, I can see where you're coming from on it.
It's Snakes and Ladders with a lot of score tracks. I think we can both agree that that's the point we're getting at, is if you were to play it with younger people, they'd have to have the ability to keep an eye on all those score tracks. Otherwise, they're going to get lost.
Yeah. And I guess, contrary to what we were talking about earlier, they'll be having the scores on the board would actually help with that.
Yes.
Whereas, for your more advanced gamers, maybe you don't want that. I do. Yeah, I'm disagreeing with the 10 plus. I would actually come in and say 12. You know, that might just be. I mean, I look at it this way. My son is 10 years old. He would probably be okay with this. However, when he comes to stay with me, we play games, and we play a fair few different games. He's getting there. He's only just at the point that I would break this out to play with him. I still think it's a bit too much. I don't think he'd stand a hope in hell. A hope in hell's chance of playing someone like me without me going easy on him or deliberately not scoring stupid amounts of points. But I think he'd have fun. But I think he would be disheartened by the fact that every time we played it, he wouldn't win. And I say that knowing that full well I've probably just signed the kiss of death.
You have jinxed it.
And that I'm going to introduce this to him probably next week when he's here and get demolished.
He's going to wipe the floor with you.
Yeah.
So you'll be introducing him to Scythe at some point then?
Oh, of course. Yeah, 100%. 100%. That's what we're playing next week, and he's at game night with us, obviously. Yeah. And he just wipes the floor with all of us.
Oh, right. It's going to happen at some point, let's be honest.
Yeah, he will. He's going to be more maniacal than me, let's be honest. It's going to be great fun. But James, any final thoughts on First Rat? I know I've waxed a lot more lyrical about this because I've been excited about doing this game.
Yeah.
But I also like to point out that I've actually been fairly negative about the game. So I'm interested to know your final thoughts.
My final thoughts on this game are it is a very reasonably priced, very enjoyable game, just not one that I'm itching to play all the time. For anyone who's interested in playing it, I would definitely say give it a go. I think it will entertain you. It's just not one of those games that you're champing at the bit to play. Okay. Good. I mean, you've pretty much heard my final thoughts already, but I like the game. It is fun. I think it's worth it for the money that you've got. There's replay value there, even if it sits on yourself for a few months between plays. Get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plays out of this, and I think you've got your money's worth. There's enough components in here to use them in other games if you really wanted to. But I don't, if you're wanting a game that's going to provide lots of replay value, if you're wanting a game to play with the family, I think there are better options out there. If you're looking for something that's a bit heavier weight than, say, Wingspan, without going crazy into other games, do what I did.
This one's all right.
Introduce a family that doesn't play modern board games at all. The first game we played at Christmas was Nemesis.
Exactly.
Because, nothing's better than a Christmas get-together with the family than trying to stab each other in the back.
Indeed. And my final recommendation with this game is, if you are going to buy the game and you're going to want to teach this game, set the game up and teach no one. Learn to teach the game, because there's a lot to teach in this game, and you need to figure out what the key points are to get across before the inevitable glazed eyes come. Because every time I've taught this game, and I don't take my time teaching games, I do it in a quick and timely manner so we can get playing. But every single time, the glazed over look comes, because you're like, you score for this, score for this, score for this, track for this, track for this, track for this. You need to get to the game as quickly as possible and just maybe do a run through 3, 4, 5 turns. And as the teacher, maybe demonstrate all of the things that you can do, and then maybe reset the game and try again. Because I think, there's got to be a better way of teaching this.
Yeah.
Because I would actively say any video I've watched online that teaches this game is hard for me to follow. So, yeah. It is a shame, because I really like this game. I want to recommend this game to more people. Would I recommend it? As I've said, yes. But I'm going to be picky who I'm going to recommend this to now. Shame. But there you go. First rat. You were expecting me to be overwhelmingly positive about this, weren't you, James?
I was, because you were very excited about getting this at Expo.
I was indeed. And I'm still excited to play it. But I'll be honest, I do struggle to get it to the table, because it's finding that correct group to play it with. And you are obviously one of those groups. But how often do we really want to play this game, James?
Yeah, that's what I think I summed up in mine. It's a good game. It's just not one that I'm itching or champing at the bit to play.
No. And yeah, I'm sure there will be a time that we will be looking at my shelf and go, oh yeah, do you know what? I fancy First Rat. But for the most part, you look at my shelf and just sort of like, it's kept near Dynogenics. It's kept near Earth. You know, it's kept near Hijack. It's kept near Die of the Dead. It's kept near Dice Hospital. All of those are probably more likely to see the table than First Rat. It's a shame. But yeah.
You know what the solution is, Jason?
What's that?
Move it on the shelf so it's next to something not as appealing.
The trouble is, my shelf's pretty good.
It is.
I like pretty much everything on my shelf. But yeah.
Stick it next to The Walking Dead. We never play that.
Yeah, well, that's the for sale shelf, though. That's the problem. And I'm going to say that it's not on the for sale pile. So if there's a glimmer of hope here, it's not on the for sale pile, and it's not likely to be. It's good enough that I wanted to upgrade it. Hopefully we'll get it to the table again soon, but be interesting to see what we say about this game this time next year.
Yes.
So there you go. We'll end on that. Let's go and play some games, James.
Yes, let's do that.
Till next week, I have been Jason.
And I've been James.
And you have been listening to the Meeple Minded podcast. Join us next week for more tabletop gaming goodness. Ta-ta and goodbye.